The current conditions in some African countries show that an abundance of natural resources does not necessarily translate into economic wealth. Small-scale oil development had been explored in Ghana's Tano and Keita basins since the early 1900s, until the Signal Amoko Consortium discovered the Salt Pond oil field in 1970, in an era when wells were drilled in the absence of geological knowledge or seismic data. Recognizing the potential of the oil and gas industry, the Ghanaian government instituted the state-owned Ghana National Petroleum Corporation in 1983 to expand hydrocarbon exploration and development across the country's entire petroleum and natural gas reserves. It was not until 2007 when Ghana discovered oil in commercial quantity, with an estimated amount of oil reserves being 3 billion barrels, which raised the hopes of many people in the country. However, few had doubts about this fortune. These offshore deposits were named Jubilee Fields, and commercial production began in December 2010. Following the successful exploitation of the Jubilee Field, Ghana has seen the development of new offshore projects. An authorization for a field development strategy in May 2013 was given, allowing Tullow to begin its second major operated deep-sea development project in Ghana. Following discoveries of further offshore oil reserves, namely the Tweneboa, Inianera, and Entame fields, also known as the 10 fields, with an estimated record capacity of over 240 million barrels of oil and 300 billion cubic feet of gas. By August 2016, the production of oil from the 10 fields offshore begun. Another offshore project worth mentioning is the Sankofa Gas Project, which entails the development of the Sankofa and Giyami gas fields sited 60 kilometers off the coast of western Ghana in varying water depths ranging from 520 meters to 1,014 meters in the Tana Basin. It is estimated that the fields contain 41 billion cubic meters of non-associated gas. Ghana is believed to have up to 5 billion barrels to 7 billion barrels of petroleum in reserves, which is the 6th largest in Africa and the 25th largest proven reserves in the world. The country also has up to 6 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in reserves. With the breakthrough in offshore oil deposits, proven oil reserves, and successful exploration of some of these deposits, the Republic of Ghana etched its name with the other oil-producing giants on the continent. Although currently ranked the 8th largest oil producer in Africa, Ghana is a relatively small producer with a current average output of 174,000 barrels per day as compared to its West African neighbor Nigeria, which presently produces 1.417 million barrels per day, and Angola with 1.175 million barrels per day. Admirably, the Ghanaian oil and gas industry has stayed afloat in spite of fluctuating international oil prices, surpassing most nations in that regard. The nation has hoped that the commercialization of oil would correspond with its growth through amassed revenues, propelling the country to higher economic standards, even as the mythical resource curse looms in the shadows. Countries like Nigeria and Angola have discovered and have been producing oil for a long time. Although Nigeria is the largest exporter of crude oil in Africa, its petroleum revenue has failed to improve economic conditions and the livelihoods of people in the country. According to the World Bank, 80% of energy revenues benefit only 10% of the population. This is a clear example of what economists call the resource curse, when a country has an abundance of resources yet remains in poverty. Ghana's 10-year march to $6.55 billion in oil revenue. To foster transparency, the Ghanaian government saw a need to create an independent body to monitor the management of petroleum revenues accrued in Ghana. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee was formed for this purpose. This body is made up of people in civil society, academia, and trade bodies, and was instituted through the Petroleum Management Act in 2011. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee has had some success since its inception in 2011. With its most noteworthy highlight being its role in legitimizing the administration's commitment to good governance in Ghana's oil and gas sector. In March 2022, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee released a detailed report on the decade-long oil production in Ghana. According to the published report, Ghana generated an estimated amount of $31 billion from all of Ghana's 3 producing fields. This amount includes earnings for both the contractor parties and the Ghana Group. However, Ghana Group was able to retain only $6.5 billion out of all the revenue generated. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee findings went further to give a breakdown of the allocation of revenues to various government bodies. In regards to the distribution of funds, the annual budget funding amount received $2.6 billion, which is 40% over the 10-year period. The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation received $2 billion. The Ghana Stabilization Fund received $1.39 billion, and the Ghana Heritage Fund received $586 million of total revenue. The report mentioned that these allocations were broadly consistent with Petroleum Management Act, 2011, Act 815 as amended. Success stories and positive outcomes in Ghana's oil industry. So far, Ghana's oil management story is encouraging. From the discovery of oil to its production, Ghana has formulated policies to prevent corruption and mismanagement of funds gained. Even though there were challenges such as the Cosmos corruption allegation and the Ghana Ivory Coast maritime border dispute, oil production was able to commence a few years after its discovery. The formation of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee was a step in the right direction for Ghana. From its inception, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee has worked tirelessly to uphold its mandate of promoting accountability and transparency. Through its reports, seminars, and publications, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee has called for a review of several petroleum policies. Also, through its reports, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee has exposed annual budget funding amounts challenges in macro-fiscal management. According to Public Interest and Accountability Committee, there has been evidence of the annual budget funding amount spending money on various sectors of the economy. Areas such as infrastructure, railways, and service delivery in the educational sector have all benefited from revenue given to annual budget funding amount. The government's flagship program, such as the free senior high school policy, has also gained from this revenue. Over the years, the oil and gas industry has encouraged citizen participation through regional workshops and platforms set up to discuss potential areas of investment from oil revenue, particularly between the years 2017 and 2019. The silhouettes of citizen suggestions corresponded to decisions made by the government regarding the expenditure of oil revenue. Funds from the oil and gas industry have been directed toward 12 areas of development, including health, infrastructure development, alternative energy sources, and environmental protection. The Nchia-Sankragwa Road, the Kotoka International Airport Terminal 3, the Free Senior High School, the Kajikram-Takoradi Railway Project, the Adawabo Gas Processing Plant, and the Anamabo Fish College are among the other projects that have benefited from oil revenue. Downsides so far: the discovery and commercial exploration of Ghana's oil, particularly after 2010, when oil production began, instantly skyrocketed the expectations of oil-backed development in the coastal districts, closest to the offshore fields. Over time, communities have grown dissatisfied with the loss of livelihoods, increased social ills, and forced displacement from land and sea, with very few tangible benefits beyond corporate social responsibility projects that are often disconnected from local development priorities to show for. Disgruntled gestures have resulted from a sense of entitlement over exploration areas, based on the assumption that outside bodies benefit from the petroleum resources being extracted near their communities, rather than targeted local development and improved living conditions. Unfortunately, Ghana still has limited technical knowledge in drilling oil in large quantities. Thus, there is an over-reliance on the expertise of international oil companies. According to the Public Interest and Accountability Committee report, bulk of the revenue generated from the production process landed in the pockets of foreign companies. Additionally, the report mentioned that some international oil companies had defaulted in the payment of surface rentals, which is an added source of revenue for the country. Furthermore, many parts of the world want to transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. Some countries have committed to producing energy using renewable resources. This could potentially reduce the demand for crude oil in some years to come and poses a big threat to Ghana's growing oil industry. The future outlook for the Ghana oil industry. Ghana's oil and gas prospects. represent an encouraging sector of hope, with promising reserves that have the capacity to attract domestic and international investors. Although a relatively new and small player in Africa's hydrocarbon sector, discoveries are demarcating the boundaries that oil and gas resources extend, stretching from Cape Three Points in the west to Cade in the east, along the country's coastline. In 2019, new discoveries by Norwegian startup Aker on the deepwater Tano Cape Three Points block were anticipated to have the potential to boost production from the current 178,000 barrels per day to around 420,000 barrels by 2023. With all these bright futures for the growing oil industry in Ghana, it is obvious the country must negotiate better deals with the international oil companies. It is also important that the government increases its equity stake in extraction companies to give the country more revenue from production. When Ghana discovered oil, it was understandable for foreign bodies to come in to help extract and produce the oil in commercial quantities. The country had little expertise, nor any technology to undergo such production. 10 years down the line, Ghana is still heavily dependent on these foreign oil companies in the extraction of its resources. It is important the government encourages and supports home-owned firms to venture into the oil industry. Also, more training in the oil sector and better policies must be developed for the management of petroleum in the country. As long as the country is less involved in the extraction of the resource, Ghana will continue to get minimal revenue from its oil and gas resources. If you enjoyed this video and want to know more about the top leading oil producers in Africa, watch also the next video shown on your screen. As always, subscribe to our channel for more exciting topics about trends and developments in Africa.